As the prophet of esports, I rely on trustworthy and meaningful data every day. Data from our research partner YouGov offers the most complete view of esports fans and gamers in the world, providing context to who they are, what they think, the brands they buy, and things they do. YouGov's connected insights and research services inform strategy at every level. If you're a team, a brand, agency, or rights holder, you should be talking with YouGov. Their partners measure and maximize ROI and are telling compelling stories with data. Visit yougov.com/gaming-esports to learn more.
And I want to start with maybe not the most obvious story this week, but one that I don't know why this stood out for me or why this, why I didn't want this to go first, but maybe you guys will have some thoughts on this. And the headline here, this is from Esports. The headline is Niantic reveals AR virtual pet game Peridot. So Niantic, it says, always working on new projects, whether that's, updates for existing games like Pokemon Go, Ingress. But now they've announced that they're developing an entirely new game, and it's their take on virtual pets. It's obviously an AR mobile game, which is the kind of game that they do. It'll have ancient one of a kind creatures known as Peridots, and you'll have to care for them, raise them, breed them, and obviously they will interact with the world you live in. Very much like this very much felt like Tamagotchi. For those of you who are old enough to remember, which I thought was interesting, and I also thought this was interesting in the context of them shutting down their Harry Potter game, basically, right? That was dead in the water. I'm curious, what do you think of Niantic's announcement here? Do you love this? Do you hate this? And there's a bigger question around, is nostalgia basically the only thing that sells these days? It feels like everything is some play off of something nostalgic at this point. And I don't know if I'm just being too harsh. Would love thoughts on that. Lindsay, I saw you shaking your head. Maybe you jump in here.
Well, I liked this right away because the Peridot is my birthstone. So it was immediately appealing for me for that. But no, I don't see this really as a nostalgia play. I disagree with you a little bit there because these types of games have been a category all their own. Neopets was a thing when I was young. There's always been, and even like Sims to a degree is a kind of different style of that same like build an environment, raise a thing in that environment, take care of it, blah, 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 whatever. So I don't see this as like a direct rip on trying to get older folks to adapt. I see this as the next iteration of a game that's kind of been around for generations. So I don't know that it's necessarily nostalgia so much as it is like, I don't know, a new take on an old win or an old, I don't know, old game or whatever. I think that the only way this becomes like a smash hit is if it kind of and it's kind of a silly thing to say, but bear with me, but if it goes viral. Like, I don't think that there is this does medium well. This is a lukewarm game. I think either they release it and it like just smashes out of the park and everyone buys it like Tamagotchis or like Neopets, or nobody buys it and they sunset it in a couple years like a lot of the other take care of this item game. And that I also don't know that this is we're going to be playing this for 10 years game. I think Niantic is really good at we're going to be playing this for 16 months game, as Pokemon Go showed. So while these types of games excite me because they attract like my type of style of game, I think that this is a very binary kind of success outcome, and that's a big risk to take.
It's an interesting thought, right? That binary outcome. Let me push a bit in the sense that, like, what have we moved past this genre of game, right? Like, who's the target market for this? I guess, like, if you guys put your Niantic, marketing person hat on, who are they trying to bring into the fold with this game? Is it 12-year-olds? Is it 20-year-olds? Is it 12 to 80-year-olds? Like what? And more male, more female. What are we thinking is the target market for Niantic with something like this?
I think it's got to be like the TikTok generation. I don't think this is like an older person type nostalgia play. Like, I don't think you're going to see a bunch of 60-year-old women walking around like ARing their pets. But I do think you could see, and I know Lindsay's analysis was pretty awesome in terms of like that this could be a very binary approach, like we often see with things that have a lot of network effects and virality. Like, I don't think this is going to be either like a medium-sized game. I think Lindsay's right, one way or the other. I don't have a guess which way it'll go. Definitely, I'm not in the demographic. Curious what Jimmy thinks.
I'm also curious what our chat thinks in terms of like, would you play this? Would you try this? And is it more interesting than Harry Potter? Right? Like, I just feel like there's no
demographic either.
Well, Kevin says Nintendogs, which we all forgot about in the context of this conversation. But yeah, there's been successes here and there. Jimmy, I don't know if you have any thoughts on this before we move on.
Yeah, to me, it seems like something that's going to skew younger and that's going to be more accommodating for girl gamers as well as non-binary gamers. I don't think it's going to be heavily or male only, as a lot of gaming we see is. What excites me about this is what we've seen Niantic do with their other game catalog and how popular they've been able to make this AR augmented reality kind of seem and be. This game is going to hinge on what you can do with this pet. Because if it's just a pure Tamagotchi, you're going to get sick of taking care of it real fast. But if there's a competitive element like Pokemon, if there is something where it's gamified, where the pet levels up and unlocks additional features, you can use it in Snapchat, you can use it in other games or other social media, where it's not just, okay, let's take a picture together and I'm going to put my pet on your shoulder and I can see it and it's funny and we can post that. That will get old quickly, right? So there has to be something more to it, like how the Pokemon game, you can catch them, find them in certain locations, fight with them, etc. So I'm just waiting to see what that next thing is. But on its face, it looks very interesting. And yes, you'll get a lot of downloads just for nostalgia alone, or just to try out the new technology and see what they're capable of. But unless they have something to really level up the experience, it will, I think that Lindsay's term was sunset, it will die quickly. So I'm hoping they have something.
What was the lifespan of Tamagotchi? I mean, really, it was probably like 12 to 18 months where it was just red hot, and then they all ended up in cupboards. And I think you're targeting here like the most cynical, jaded generation of all time that has the smallest attention span of all time. And it's just difficult, right? Like it's for the same reason I think MMOs are difficult to get right these days. There are certain genres that just don't create any kind of wow factor anymore, because it's a little bit of like, well, I've seen this, I've done this, been there, done that kind of thing. And I don't know if this genre has enough sort of like newness appeal to really go viral, to use the term Lindsay used here. So let me just read some of these comments. Adam says, I feel like this seems like something I would try once and never play again. I mean, probably most people here, I think, share this
like
sentiment.
Their thing, though, like,
yeah,
try it for a little bit.
Kevin says, you got to remember that new phones have this tech already included, so the market could hit a lot of kids virally and accessibly. No question that Niantic, I think, is always very accessible in terms of bringing their games to market. All you really need is a phone. Angie says, I'm Peridot too, Lindsay. There. Well, there's that. Although I thought the name was maybe the most problematic, because isn't there a very well-known mobile game called Dots? And they're calling these things dots for short. So Peridot, but it's dots for short. I just thought there's some legal probably issue there, I would think.
That's 2 dots. It's different.
Oh, I'm sorry. Greg says, will it be play to earn?
Play and earn, Greg.
Play and earn, yeah. No, play and own, right? Probably. Not. We want to get really specific.
I mean, isn't Axie basically that? It's like virtual pets and you own them.